right, welcome back everybody. General elections are held in Sudan to elect the president and the National Assembly for the next 5 years. They were originally scheduled for the 2nd of April, but were delayed by 11 days. Voting began at 8 a.m. yesterday and are expected to continue for the next 3 days. More than 13 million people have registered to vote at across 11,000 polling stations in the country. Well, joining us in studio to shed a little bit more light on the election that's currently taking place is lecturer and Eastern culture expert, Professor Fanie Vermaak. Professor, good to have you in studio. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. Yeah.
All right, so we basically see the elections. They were delayed slightly, but they're underway. How was yesterday? How's it going so far?
Apparently the polling is going well without major problems, although it was a slow at the polling stations. Apparently more was policemen and government workers who voted actually.
Okay, all right. So
it is expected to pick up a little bit later, maybe today or tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. So, but we're seeing the elections underway, even though it did get started off later than expected. Are we expected to see President Omar alBashir hold on to power for another 5 years?
Yes, we believe so. Yes, he's actually the only person who's more well known in the country. You know, the other smaller parties, there are 44 of them, are not so well known. And with the previous election, he actually got the 90% of the votes, and in fact got 450 seats in the parliament as well. But we suspect him to be in power again. Yes.
Yeah. A statement was given by the oppositions demanding the release of all political prisoners and increased press freedom. What are the chances of something like this actually happening?
I don't think there's any chance that this might happen at the moment. As you know, there are other problems as well. The president has been charged by the International Criminal Court for genocide in the Darfur region, and nothing has happened since then as well. So yes, there are quite a number of reasons for that.
Yeah, I mean, even yesterday, I know you were saying more government officials were voting, but nonetheless, we did see a lot of people boycotting the elections as well, and have stated that they're not going to get involved in them. What's the reason for this? Why?
I think what I've mentioned as well is the genocide, but on the other hand, they also say the state, the president and their party has sort of control over the media, all the major media, and they don't actually get representation or exposure to any other form of media. Although I believe the printed media and the radio is still available, there's no really coverage on the other parties yet.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it's the state television is completely pro-Bashir. They never get to see any of the other opposition parties that are contesting the elections. It's like they're sort of in a one-party election. So are the people disheartened by this? I mean, is it a matter of, well, if I'm not going to see who my options are, I'm just not going to participate?
Yes. Another reason is actually that most of the parties are actually unknown, sort of from the last year or so. There is only one major person which are well known who stood against the president, you know, but the rest of them are quite unknown.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is they actually postponed. They should have postponed this elections due to those reasons. And we cannot understand why he actually made it earlier, because it was supposed to be a little bit later.
All right. Having a look at the quota system as well for these elections, I see that it states that women must occupy at least 25% of seats during in the National Assembly. I mean, when you look at it in this day and age, it's such a few seats and such a small representation of women, where in a day and age like this, we really are trying to get equal representation of women. Why do you think? Is it still a struggle for women to get their voice heard in places like Sudan?
Yes, I think it's done in the majority of the African countries as well. And then we must take into consideration that the party is also Muslim-based, and that is part and parcel of that women don't get that much exposure.
Yeah, 25%, that's nothing when you look at the population in general. Finally, do you foresee any problems going forward in the next couple of days? Or do you see it as a smooth running election that we can expect in Sudan?
It is very difficult to say. I might say yes, it will go on as yesterday, quite smooth and so forth, but something might happen. It's more a question of a boycott of the election than protests and so forth. So it's very difficult to say. We might expect something on the third day. That means tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll keep watching it. Thanks so much for talking to us, Professor Fanie Vermaak, who is talking to us about the Sudan elections. He's a culture expert and lecturer that takes a look at these issues in Eastern studies. So thank you very much for joining us here on the program at